Yo, this is episode number 2, NoFeelins Boxing. We missed y'all last week, but we back now. It's your boy Tony.
What's up, man? It's Will. We out here.
And you can catch us every week.
Or every other week.
Or every other week. Or every other week.
As far as the boxing and shit, but definitely every week for the NoFeelins meetings episodes.
Every week, NoFeelins meetings is me, Will, and Justin, of course. I'm coming to y'all every week. We record on Monday, so y'all should have those episodes by Thursday.
And make sure y'all check out 90 Feet for all the baseball fans. Check out The Feud for, any sports that you into. They talk about just about everything, and that's Justin and Liam.
Yep, Hard File Network. We got a lot of stuff on the way. We got a lot of stuff working right now. And we about to kick off this episode number 2, NoFeelins Boxing. We talking about Anthony Joshua's world title defense against Alexander Povetkin 2 weeks ago now. You got a chance to see any of the highlights, Will?
Oh, yeah, I seen them.
So what you thought about the fight or the couple of rounds?
Actually, I watched it. I ended up being able to see the full fight. I just didn't see it the day it happened. But I thought, like, overall, it was an all right fight. I mean, it kind of – because I think going before the knockout wasn't Povetkin up?
Povetkin was up.
He was up 4-2.
Yeah, he was up 4-2. I had it 4-2, 3-3. I felt like, for me, being an AJ fan, like, that fight went exactly where I thought. Like, I didn't think that was an easy fight. I thought Povetkin was going to touch him like he did, bust his nose up.
Yeah, it was
like
definitely.
That fight went the way I seen it happening.
Yeah, no, and it was, they both pretty much stood in the middle of the ring the whole fight and, got it on.
Yeah, and that's what you need in the heavyweight division, and that's what you need to see, especially for Anthony Joshua. You need to see him in these tough fights, like give the idea that he can be touched, because that's only going to add on to the desire to see him fight Wilder or Fury.
Yeah, no, it was like I said, overall, I think it was a good fight up until, after he got that, after Povetkin got his eye busted open, it pretty much went the other way. I think he got his eye cut open in the fourth,
right,
with that uppercut. And after that, it was pretty much, it pretty much went one-sided because, he wasn't as accurate. His punches wasn't really landing as hard. So,
and watching that fight, did you see anything from AJ that had you think Wilder could beat him more, or did you see something that said, like, this guy getting better?
Honestly, I don't think my decision or my perception to change either way. Like I said, I got Wilder winning whenever they do meet.
Right.
But and it's like I know Joshua ain't a slouch either way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the biggest benefit to Wilder for me, number one, he just a power puncher, but then it's like with that unorthodox style that he used, I think that's gonna be a hell of a fight when they do fight though.
Yeah, but that's definitely something we're looking forward to.
Yeah, I didn't really see anything that'd kind of make me change my, sway either other way.
Right. Now, moving to our next topic, we got Fury and Wilder. On our last episode, we were speculating, but it's definitely official now. December 1st, it's going down on pay-per-view. So, what you think of the whole press conference tour that's been going on between them and what's been happening, like, in front of the camera, but we know they really cool behind the camera?
That's what I was about to say. It's obvious, that you can see the respect that they both got for each other,
right?
And and both of them, don't either one of them like fucking Joshua. So I'm pretty sure whichever one, whoever loses will be rooting on the winner whenever they go to fight Joshua. Either way,
right. Now, I've been watching, like, Eddie Hearn interviews. For everybody that listening, I'm sure you do know, if you listen to this podcast, you know who Eddie Hearn is. But if you don't, that's AJ promoter, and that's one of the big promoters in boxing right now. And Eddie was saying that he, like, through everything he's hearing about the fight, it's a 2-way rematch, and that's a little crazy when you think about it, because it's like, it's not like Fury's a mandatory. It's not like Deontay Wilder has to fight him. So it's like it's a little crazy to think that he giving Fury a rematch either way, and he's defending his belt.
See, but I think that's part of the thing that's been going on pretty much the entire time that they've been trying to get the fight between Wilder and Joshua done. Like you said, it's not a mandatory fight, but they kept trying to make it seem as if like you got to take this guy before you can fight Joshua. You got to take that guy before you can fight Joshua.
Right.
And like you said, with him defending that title, I don't think it has to be a mandatory rematch. That might be something more agreed upon with them just because of the respect they got for each other.
Right. So in watching this whole thing go down, do you got any more? I want to say confidence that Fury can make this a fight, or you still feel like it's over early?
I mean, I think that if you kind of don't, if you don't keep up with things and you just listen to Fury talk, maybe you might change your decision.
Right.
But it's like with him being off the time that he was off, I don't really.
Yeah, 3 years, man. That's a long ass.
Yeah, that's the thing. But like I said, because even I watched him on the Breakfast Club talking and all of that stuff. So like even when you listen to him talk, you might kind of have a little confidence in him. Like, oh man, he might be able to pull something off. I don't think, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, I don't either. And it's like, this shit is so crazy to me because Tyson Fury, before his hiatus, through his his addiction and the struggles and everything, he was pound for pound the best heavyweight in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like now you come back into the sport. You got two guys that then lapped you. You got guys calling you out now that probably wouldn't have said your name years ago. You got guys like Dillian White wanting to fight you, and Luis Ortiz looking to fight anybody he can fight. So the division is crazy. Like, it's not a stacked division, say like 1 through 10 or something like that, but the 1 through 6 or 1 through 5 is definitely a popping division.
Yeah, I think I just think like it's one of them things. He could have took a couple of other fights before he took Wilder, I think, because it's just boxing is like any other sport. The only way to get into actual boxing shape is actual boxing. Like, it's a difference from your training versus when you actually get in the ring.
That's a fact.
Like, when you sparring is one thing, but you probably could have took, even if it was just one fight or something before he took Wilder. I think that ring rust is gonna show.
Right. And Tony Bellew, who we gonna talk about a little bit later in this episode, he was doing an interview and he was talking about how, like, and when you box, like, that's not something you can just get into and get out of. Like, you got to live that shit.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, being gone for 3 years, and I mean, like I said, he looked good. He got back into shape and all of that, but the only way you can get into actual boxing shape is by actually boxing, not just the sparring, not just what you do in practice. And I mean, it play a major role, but it's that intensity is totally different a lot of times once you step in that ring.
Right. Now, do you think that fight will be, how can I put this? Do you lose a little less confidence in Deontay if that fight get into the 9s and the 10s?
As far as him going up against Joshua?
Not even that. It's just really as far as him being able to beat Fury. You think he can beat Fury on points?
I don't know. That might. I think he will. Just like I said, I'm going a lot off of the ring rust. I think just with Fury not being in there, and I mean, we know Wilder ain't really a point guy.
Definitely not.
So that's
definitely not a point guy.
Right. So that's the thing. It's like, yeah, he's not really a point guy, but then I'm thinking about this guy being off 3 years. So I think even if it came down to points, I think I still have confidence in Wilder to get it done.
Yeah. I'm with that. I do feel like I think if it go to points, I think Fury gets the win. But it's just so hard for me to even see it getting past the 5th, like right now.
Yeah, because that conditioning, once you get past those early rounds, that's when the conditioning is gonna come in.
And it's like, and we know how Wilder's gonna come out. We know in that first he coming out throwing bombs. He trying to end it early, and he want to make that statement of like, I should be like, because he wants like. I'm not one of those fans that's looking at this Joshua Wilder situation like this. He ducking him or he ducking him. the politics in this is so deep, and you could believe who you want to believe, whether you want to believe Eddie or whether you want to believe the Wilder side. But you cannot be a logical boxing fan looking at these two guys and thinking they don't want to fight each other.
Yeah, no, and it's cool conversation for Twitter and the internet and for back and forths and stuff like that. But it's like realistically, ain't nobody ducking.
Ain't nobody ducking nobody. And you can look at Wilder and see that he's ready to fight whoever, anytime. It's certain guys that the politics may get in the way of him fighting, but I'm not going to say that he wouldn't take these fights. You look at AJ resume, you see the guys he done fought in only 22 fights. So for any fan out there that's talking about he ducking him or he ducking him, that's crazy.
And like I said, it's one thing if you just having a conversation just to have it, but it's like if you really believe that,
right?
You tripping.
Definitely.
Because I mean, me and you have had the conversation before about this person is ducking or that person is ducking, but we know how the politics and this shit work.
Right. Definitely. All right, moving to our next topic of the show, I want to talk about all three heavyweights, and that's Fury, Wilder, and Joshua. Do you think we know Fury and Wilder is going to fight? Do you think that Fury will give Joshua a tough time, or you think it would be the same result as we probably see in the Wilder fight?
I think I'll be able to gauge that a little bit better post-fight just because,
right.
At this point, like if he was to fight Joshua instead of Wilder, I don't think so, but I would want to see how he looks in that Wilder fight.
Right.
To kind of give a better opinion. But I mean, if he was to be jumping in there with Joshua instead of Wilder, I think the outcome would be the same.
Hell yeah. Now, assuming that fucking not even assuming, but say Fury get the W. And as now is him and AJ. Now AJ already said, like, even if Wilder lose, I'll still fight him April. I think it's 13th next year. Just because that's a big fight and we know that's what people want. But the demand for the Fury fight, especially in the UK, would be too big. Like you got what it would be at that time, the two best heavyweights in the world, and they both from the UK. Like that demand would be too much. So do you think that'd be a more more demanded fight, Joshua Fury in the UK or Joshua Wilder all around?
I think probably Joshua Fury in the UK, just because of the money it's gonna bring. I think with the rivalry of Joshua and Wilder, that's what make that fight so huge to where whether Wilder win or lose, that fight need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Fury loses, I mean, ain't nobody really like, oh man, that fight still need to happen.
Right.
but if Wilder loses, it's like, no, you still, y'all still need to fight.
Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
But I think just because of, how big boxing is in the UK, I think that that Fury and Joshua will be bigger as far as that goes.
Why you think the game not as big in the US as it was back in the Roy Jones days or the B-Hop days or when Floyd was fighting Oscar and what was that, like 07?
Because I think back then that was before social media was the way it was. So these guys were actually out. So,
right.
They were in the public eye. Like, with Joshua and Wilder and stuff like that, they, I don't really know how often they use their social media, but with a lot of these guys today, it's so much social media. So a lot of them ain't actually out and hanging out and at this place and at that place. So it's like a lot of people, Floyd has always been recognizable. Like a lot of people might see Deontay Wilder and don't even know who he is. A lot of people might see Joshua, don't really know who he is.
Right.
Even non-boxing fans knew Floyd.
Now, when I say that, I'm talking more domestically. Like, because we know, even say like the American fan don't know who Anthony Joshua is. We know it's not a person overseas that don't know who he is.
Right.
I say when I ask you that, I'm saying like domestically, like why you think people not like say like I think what was it? What was a big fight this summer? Like when Robert Easter fought Mikey a couple months ago. I think that fight drew about 500,000 on Showtime. Now, why you like say if that fight was to happen in 03, 04, that's $1 million fight. Like that's
right.
a unified title fight. that fight on Showtime back in years ago for free, that shit would have did probably 1 million views. Why you think like domestically, like in America, is not as big as it can be?
I mean, I think a lot of it got to do with like shit, probably the internet. I mean, you know how many streaming links were out there? You know, you could stream it for free.
Right.
Like honestly, and I mean, with the way that shit is these days, you don't have to pay for shit.
That's a fact.
I think that's one of the main reasons that back then this stuff wasn't as big. You weren't able to just go, you know,
it was
type
more
in
exclusive.
you weren't able to just type in something and get the fight to pop up. Or, you know, Facebook Live. People stream the fight on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, or whatever.
I can feel that. Especially because when you look at that shit, it's like the game is so deep right now with like just talented boxers. You could go to any division and find at least 5 guys that's like world class.
Yeah. So what would you say it was though? Like in your opinion, what would you say the reason was to why it isn't as big today as it was back then?
I think the other sports being more like the brand in the other sports, and probably because it was in such a dark place for so long, it's going to take a while for it to get back as big as it was. Because you figure it was like for maybe 3-4 years, it was just Floyd and Pacquiao. And whoever was fighting around them, it was like you got to be a fan of the sport to understand like how big this person is. Like it was only 2 global stars for like 3-4 years, and now we getting back to a place where it's multiple guys and the heavyweight division is back and shit like that. And I think that's why it's in such a place. But it is getting back though. It's definitely getting back. And especially if we get these big fights the way we want them, if we get Mikey and Earl, if we get Earl and Keith or Earl and Terrence, like if we get these big fights, and especially at the superstar divisions, like the middleweights, the welterweights, if we get the big fights in those divisions, like we'll see the game back, like domestically where it was when we was younger.
I gotcha.
We got up next on the list here, Bellew Usyk. Yeah, I wanted to talk about this. This for a lot of the hardcore fans, if you will, and shit like that. But did you get a chance to watch any like other clips on YouTube or catch up on anything from this topic?
No, not yet. So you're gonna have to fill me in with that one.
All right, I'm gonna just catch you up a little bit on this, and we could go in depth on this. We definitely gonna talk about this more because the fight coming up in a couple weeks. But we got Tony Bellew fighting Alexander Usyk. That's November 10th. Usyk is the undisputed cruiserweight champion. He's the first man in boxing to ever do that. Tony Bellew, the former cruiserweight world champion, and he's he's one of them boxers that's been counted out so many times, and he just always win. And like it's like people still doubt it, and like that's a big fight coming up, and that's Bellew's last fight. He said, and like who wouldn't want to retire like that? You know, undisputed in the weight class. So we gonna get.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely like you said. I think just about anybody that can, they will want to do that. They don't make it. They don't too often make it. You know, make it that far in and stay that way.
Now the thing about this fight is, and like I said, we're gonna talk about this more. But the thing about this fight has been like, I want to say it's been drawing the interest of Andre Ward. And it'll be real interesting to see like the outcome of this fight, and if this fight gives Andre that button to come back into the game. We know Andre retired. I believe it was the end of last year. I think it's been about a year since Dre retired. And Andre,
so he want the winner.
It's not like something that's official or nothing like that. But whenever you watch him in interviews and they bring it up to him, it's definitely something that he interested in. And we know that Andre retired last year, #1 pound for pound in the sport, and he retired undefeated. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happened with that. But like I said, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to catch up on that one, and we're going to go into that next week.
We could definitely get into that next week.
Yeah. Now, this shit is crazy. But now in the MMA segment of the show, for everybody listening, we're going to talk about which was the biggest fight in UFC history and one of the craziest fucking aftermaths I ever seen in a fight, which
Definitely.
is wild. Like we already talked about this shit. So we had UFC 229 yesterday. We not even 24 hours since. Like we had it just yesterday. So what you thought about the whole event, man? From the press conference to the weigh-in to last night, everything that happened.
Well, we can start with the let's start with the press conference.
Okay. Now, anybody that follow us on social media and everything like that, NFM_podcast on every platform, y'all know I run the social media. If you listen to NoFeelins meetings, which you should every week. But I'm a big Conor fan, and I always rock with Mac, and I always go with Mac and whatever he want to do. I rock with him with the Floyd shit. I rock with him yesterday against Khabib. And to me, I felt like Mac could win, but I'm not surprised that Khabib won that fight. I want to say that before we get to this. Like, Khabib is fucking an animal. Now, the press conference, what you thought about everything, yo, from the whiskey to the assalamu alaikum, everything that happened?
Yeah, number one, fucking McGregor, the shit that McGregor do, like, and I mean, it's cool because, it's a physical sport and he like to try to get into his opponent's head and all of that, but everybody ain't gonna be scared of you, and that's gonna get you fucked up a couple of times.
Real shit.
Like when you get up there talking crazy, because I know a lot of times that's what he do though. If he can get that mental edge over a lot of guys,
that's it.
He already going into the fight
right.
up. He already won. Like, if you want to count that as a round, you count the press conference as a round and say, all right, he have 1-0 going into the fight in most fights. So I mean, I think and it's hard to say he went like overboard with anything just because because of the sport that it is.
You blacked out a little bit.
I said it's hard to say that he went overboard in the press conference because of the sport that it's a fight sport. So anything goes.
Right. And especially trying to sell a UFC fight, because we know they're not making like boxing money.
Right. But I think a lot of times when he get into all the little racial shit, I think a lot of times, he kind of go overboard with that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I ain't gonna say anything he did was off limits or he crossed the line just because of the sport that he had.
Right. Watching that shit, that whole press conference, I could see like what was happening. I could see what was going on. I've seen it like hundreds of times watching Conor like press conferences. The most, I want to say, unique thing about all of that came out to me, and like me growing up around, like me knowing Muslims and shit like that, and like I guess it showed me the difference between like an American Muslim and like a Muslim from another country, because when they was like how could Conor offer Khabib whiskey knowing he's Muslim? I said that's not a lot, because like every Muslim dude I know like drink and do all type of crazy shit.
Well, that's because but a lot of times they don't. A lot of these guys become Muslim and they don't even really know the real, but
right.
behind everything.
Exactly.
It's like they half do it.
Yeah, the facts.
But I mean, it was cool, like in the press conference, just to see Khabib was, cool, calm, collected the whole time.
Right.
Didn't really lose his, cool too much. He let Conor do what he do.
The thing that had me doubt, I ain't gonna say doubting Conor, but the thing that had me believe in Khabib more, the more I heard him say inshallah, I said, yeah, this nigga ain't coming to lose, bro.
He different.
This nigga ain't coming to lose, bro. So it's like I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for Mac for sure.
No, he didn't. He didn't look. McGregor was doing all that. He didn't look phased.
Yeah.
He didn't. He didn't look startled. He didn't.
He looked ready.
He kept
like
his composure.
He just looked like this is what I've been waiting for.
But a lot of times with them press conferences that Mac do, he get these guys out of character.
Mm-hmm.
He get them to do something that they wouldn't normally do. So I mean, I think that's pretty much all I got as far as the press conference. Yeah, Conor was wild enough.
Right.
He thought he was on tour Florida again.
and that's another thing I want to talk about as we get more into this conversation. So we're gonna skip all the way in and everything like that. They both made weight. We know the motherfuckers don't like each other. They've been wanting to fight for years. So to the fight, what you thought about the fight? What you thought about Khabib performance? Did you think that the 2 years off and the boxing shit last year, did you think that affected Conor?
I think so. I mean, and actually, I was kind of pulling for Conor to win the fight. Like before the fight, I was like, which I didn't make any bets on it, but I was just like, I was like, oh, I think Conor will be able to pull it off. But I mean, as the fight went on, I mean, well, you figure as the fight started, I feel like Khabib controlled the fight from the start.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he in the first round, McGregor, he was defending pretty well as far as not letting Khabib wrap him up too much. They were on the ground most of the fight, but he did good not getting himself into a fucked up situation.
Right. Watching that shit, I felt like, okay, this is going the way I expected it to go. Like watching that whole thing, I felt like because Khabib is the best wrestler in the company, like he's the motherfucker's amazing at what he do. Like what he do, he does it great, and he does it better than anybody else, and that's wrestle and grapple and take you down. But I felt like if Conor could just keep it on the feet as much as possible and land those rights and lefts, he got a shot. And he was landing those rights and lefts. But Khabib's chin, man.
Not only that, but even when they were standing, I mean, Conor definitely had the advantage, but Khabib was like, he was landing some too. He wasn't just, he got a couple of good hits and on Conor, while they were standing up, and he almost put him to sleep for the second round.
He definitely rocked him.
Because you figure he hit him with that right, he stumbled back, and when he came in with that knee, had that knee connected, it probably would have been over.
Yeah,
that knee was it was off to the side a little bit. Had he hit that, it was probably a wrap.
Right. Yeah, they was definitely trading. The Khabib chin, like those shots that Conor hit him with last night, that shit put so many great fighters out. Like
it's been put a lot of guys down.
It put Aldo down in 13 seconds. It beat Nate up in 2 fights. Conor went 1-1 in those. It fucked Eddie Alvarez up. So I was watching that. I was like, bro, this Khabib is different.
Yeah, no, Conor, he was wilding in the second. No, Conor, he think he need my man in the head twice while they were down on the ground. He was kind of tripping.
Yeah, I thought it was over when he had him in that second when he had him in the ground. And he was just pounding away. I was like, damn, he gonna stop this. I was like, he gonna stop this shit. But they let the fight go, and Conor got back up, and they got back to the point.
No, I think the third round, I think that might have been Conor's best round because they stood up most of the fight. Yeah. I mean, most of that round, they were on their feet most of the round.
Mm-hmm. Did you think Khabib was like if you felt like he was gonna win? Did you think it was gonna be from a submission, or you thought he could finish it?
I had feelings it would be from a submission.
Yes.
I thought it would be from a submission, especially after the first couple of rounds. I'm like, because he kept getting him in that same position, he just couldn't lock him up the right way. And I was like, the more the fight go on and the more tired Conor get, I'm like, eventually he gonna be able to get him how he want to get him, and it'll be over.
Right. We saw the submission happen with the rear naked choke. We saw Conor tap out, and we saw this when it got crazy.
See, but I was tripping. No bullshit though. I didn't even real before we get to the actual post. I didn't even expect McGregor to tap out.
Right.
Like I thought I was like, yeah, McGregor gonna go to sleep before he tap out.
No, I knew he was gonna tap. I knew because one thing about Conor, like especially if you watch the Nate Diaz one fight or seen the highlights from it, he ain't getting choked out. Like he ain't going to sleep. Like he'll tap. He's like, okay, I get it. You got this, and he'll live to see you another day. No, I
mean, this one just seemed a little bit more. I mean, this
a little bit more personal. Yeah,
especially because I mean, for a while though, I didn't even realize that whole bus incident. Was that last year or was that early this year?
That was
last year. That was like early last year.
That was
this year.
Yeah, that was in March or April, I think. Might have been February.
Because it was right. It was like right after the Mayweather fight. I mean, a few months after the Mayweather fight, right?
No, it was this year.
Early this year. Okay.
Yeah, it was early this year. Because you remember, like after the Mayweather fight, he went on like vacation pretty much.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It was eating.
Right. No, that's cool. But yeah, and when that first happened, I didn't even realize that it was Khabib in the bus.
Yeah.
Until like a few months ago.
And we gonna talk about that too in a couple coming up. And that's the crazy thing about all this. But what you thought? What did you think about Khabib yelling at Carter, throwing the mouthpiece, getting out what you think of all that?
I mean, it's just different because it was personal. Like they got them motherfuckers really hated each other.
Right.
It wasn't no dapping up after the fight or no shit like that. It was like almost like they got like real beef. So I mean, from the outside looking in, like in my head, I'm like, oh, I can respect it. But I mean, I know it's fucked up for the UFC and everything, with all of that shit transpiring or whatever. I know it's fucked up in that aspect. But like me personally, I'm like, yeah, fuck all of them up. they talking crazy. Fuck them all up.
I said, bro, I'm like, look, I respect any if it's smoke, fuck it. I respect it. Do what you gotta
on
do.
Site.
I respect it. Do what you gotta do. The only thing I would have told Khabib, I don't got no problem with you going after these niggas after this fight. Get your belt first. Let them put the belt on you. Secure your bag, basically, and then you can go handle all of that.
Yeah, no, he wasn't fucking around. I think, but a lot of times it's hard to convince somebody of that in the moment.
It's hard to keep that emotion in place, especially at all the talk that happened.
About 10, 15 minutes immediately after the fight, so his adrenaline is still going. So it was
still going. Yeah, it's still going. So now going into a little backstory on this, anybody listening, if you don't know, it was early this year. I can't remember the specific month. Early this year, one of Connor's mans had did an interview and he called Khabib some shit, and Khabib caught him by himself. Khabib rode up on him with his boys, like, you've been talking about me and you saying some crazy shit. So Conor man's like, no, I ain't said nothing. That's reports, and that's what the video appeared him to say. So in Conor fashion and Team McGregor fashion, these niggas, 24 hours after that, they hopped on a PJ from Ireland and went to Brooklyn, and they wanted smoke. So they pulled up to the Barclay. Khabib was on the bus getting ready for his fight. Conor was like, come out the bus. He had his boys. Khabib was on the bus with his people, and Conor wanted to smoke. Khabib ain't get out the bus. Conor picked up a dolly, threw that shit through a window, injured a bunch of people, glass everywhere, going crazy. Conor ended up in some legal trouble. He beat that, and that's how we got to the fight situation. What you think about everybody saying this is the most disgusting act they done seen in UFC, or this is all this crazy shit they talking about?
My problem is like I said, is you got to realize the sport we talking about. Like, I mean, you're talking about a hand-to-hand combat sport. Right. So it's like, this ain't like no NBA shit where fucking when KG and Melo was beefing and Melo went outside and threw a dolly at the bus or something like that. This is a sport based off guys like, and now y'all want them to, it's hard to tell these guys to chill. They fight for a living. So me personally, I'm with it. Like, I mean, I don't really, it's kind of fucked up that, people got injured, when you're talking about people that may not have had anything to do with the situation.
Right.
But as far as these fighters seeing each other and keeping that same energy, in or out the octagon, I'm with it.
Right. Because it's you gotta have that. You gotta have that mentality or that energy just to even be
in that sport. Yeah.
In that cage. I don't think you could operate in that cage without that type of energy.
You can't be a level-headed individual and be in that
be
sport.
A UFC fighter. Yeah, that's not how it works.
Boxing is kind of different,
right.
because it's. I mean, in UFC, you talking about taking knees to the head, elbows to the head, fucking
right, getting choked out.
Yeah, all type of shit. Boxing is kind of different now. Even if it was boxing, that might be a little wilder.
Right.
I might be like, damn, that's kind of fucked up. But as far as the UFC go, I mean, that shit is like wrestling.
Real shit, man. So, assuming we're gonna look at two different situations here. Assuming that Khabib don't get suspended, we know he getting fined. We know there's gonna be some repercussions the way he did. Motherfucking Nevada still withholding his $2 million check because of what happened last night.
Yeah, they got to deduct something from that.
So assuming he don't get suspended, no crazy time, what you think is next for him, and what you think is next for Conor coming up? I ain't gonna say 2 losses because we're not counting that Floyd shit. Everybody knew he was going to lose that fight.
Yeah, loss is a loss, my G.
Okay, 2 losses coming off 2 losses, a boxing match and a Khabib fight. What you think is next for Conor? Because he's still going to draw. He's still money.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he'll be right back. I don't think it's going. I don't think it's going to slow him down. I don't think it's going to do anything. I mean, I don't know what fight might be next. I mean, I guess if they come to terms with a rematch, maybe he'll chill. If they try to do a rematch next year or something,
right?
So I don't know. And as far as Khabib, it's kind of I want to see how everything play out with everything that happened because of I was listening to Dana White after that, after the fight, and he was just talking about how the governors in Nevada and all of them were there, and even if he don't get suspended, he might have trouble with his visa, and all of that shit.
Russian,
right. So I mean, I think that'll be. I think I want to see how things play out with that. What you think is next?
I think for me, if Khabib is stripped, I think that is going to be Conor versus Tony Ferguson probably in February or March for the lightweight championship until Khabib get back.
You think he should be stripped?
I don't know. I don't think he should be stripped at all. Like,
I definitely don't. I don't agree. I feel like
the situation, the situation that happened, like that shit was an emotional thing. It was. If you know the story, you understand it. Like that's the thing about it. I feel like we know what happened on both ends. And you could say that was wrong, you could say it was right, but it was a reason that all of this happened. It's not like this shit happened for no reason. So I don't think he should be stripped. I think if he's not stripped, I think that he'll fight Tony Ferguson next for the lightweight belt.
I mean, yeah, I'd be upset if he got stripped though, yeah. I mean, not even upset, but it's just like it's one of the things where I can see if it was something that happened like outside the MMA community or something like that. Right. But I think like I feel like in my opinion, anything that happens inside the sport should be, it is what it is.
Right.
It ain't like he was outside beating up a random guy, or beating up a fan, or something like that. I think anything that happened within that sport, I think it's all good.
Right. If Khabib not suspended, I think that he fight Tony Ferguson. Like I said, February, March, April, like early next year. And Conor, this is really what I think should happen, regardless of Khabib suspended or not. Nate Diaz fight next month. He fight Dustin Poirier. I don't know if that.
Don't you think they're gonna have a part 3?
I don't know if they should. It's two. It's probably more money in that trilogy fight than it is in a Khabib Conor 2 fight. And they talk the UFC might be making the 165 division, so that's a new division. It would be no better way for him to start that than to have Conor versus Nate Diaz 3. I think that should happen next for Conor regardless. But overall though, what did you think of like last night, the whole event of it? Even if you didn't see the whole pay-per-view, like what did you think of the whole event surrounding McGregor Khabib? Do you think it lived up to the smoke or?
Oh, definitely. I mean, like I said, I can respect them both getting in there and keeping that. They don't like each other. They didn't
pretend to
hug and shake hands after the fight and none of that shit. It's like I didn't fuck with you before the fight and I don't fuck with you after the fight.
in the words of Malcolm X, if I don't like somebody, I don't pretend to.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I think it lived up to the hype as far as just as far as that tension between them two alone, and as far as the outcome of the fight and the way that the fight went.
Right.
And I mean, as quiet as Khabib was during that press conference, he was talking this shit in the ring, in the octagon. So he was in there talking this shit every time he got on top of Conor.
He wanted that smoke, and I can respect any nigga that want their smoke and handle it.
Yeah, no, I think it lived up to the hype and to the beef.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I thought it was great. I thought the whole thing, top to bottom, was great. I do think we're going to see that again, though. I don't know when, but that's definitely because it's a lot of money in that rematch, regardless. Because the people that are diehard Conor fans and that can feel he can do no wrong, they going to say that, hey man, he was out 2 years. He, it was situations, and he could have won that fight and things like that. And diehard Khabib fans going to say, your man can't do shit to Khabib. Like, there's nothing he could do. Like, we're going to see a second fight, and the same thing going to happen. So I think next year or 2020 at least, we're going to see that fight again, because Conor signed a new 8-fight deal, and now he got 7 left on the deal. So we definitely going to see that fight again.
Now, what do you think? What do you think Conor needs to do to be prepared for the next time? Like, what do you think if this rematch is going down? What do you think Conor needs to do to be ready? Do you think it was only because he was off for a few years,
No.
or do you think Khabib was just a better fighter last night?
Yeah, I don't think Matt could use more rounds, of course, in that cage, like anybody could, and he could use more. He could just use more fights to get ready. But like, it's not really much different that he could have done last night. Like, it's physically and like preparation wise, next fight he should take Khabib more serious. I don't think he did that as much as he could. Like, I don't think I feel like he felt that, especially coming off the last time he was in UFC, a dominant 2-round performance against Eddie Alvarez. I felt like he thought he was going to do that again. Like, and Khabib was just a different animal. And I feel like next fight he should take him more serious for sure.
Okay. I don't know. I think it'll be dope. I'll be glad to see it again.
Yeah, definitely. That's because you always want to see guys that don't like each other fight. Like, that's just always going to make the best events. That's always going to make the best matchups.
It's like I could see fucking Wilder and Fury after the fight is over, fucking helping each other up and shit.
Smacking 5.
Yeah, smacking 5. Like, yeah, go kick Joshua's ass, man.
No bullshit, bro.
And Wilder, my guy.
Oh shit. Now, yeah, it was a great event, man. We enjoyed that shit. Y'all check out the replays, check out the highlights, everything like that. We'll see Khabib and Conor back in that cage soon enough. A lot more UFC coming up the next couple months we're going to talk about. Before we get out of here, I want to talk about 2 quick things. I want to talk about Charlo Golovkin, and I want to talk about Tank getting back in the ring and maybe getting from under Mayweather Promotions. Now, what you think about Jamal and Triple G if we get to see that?
I think that'd be a real dope fight.
From what you saying to Jamal, rather it be highlights or fights, you think that he got what it takes to beat Triple G, like especially at this stage of Triple G career?
I think so, and I think me and you both had the Charlo brothers as two of our favorites and like two of the toughest competitors in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at this, because how's Triple G right now?
He's 36. If this fight happened, he'd be 37, 38.
You cut out, y'all.
Oh, I said right now, Triple G about 36, I believe. If this fight happened within the next year or so, he'd be 37, 38.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think right now I think at this stage in his career, I think he'll be able to take him. I think it's, the older you get up there in age, it's a lot tougher to deal with these younger guys. I mean, unless you Floyd,
right?
When you're talking about fighting styles, I think the reason Floyd was able to be so successful is because he was a defensive boxer. But I think, at that stage of Floyd's career, had he decided to try to stand in the middle of the ring and go blow for blow with some of these young guys, he might not be undefeated right now.
Right. And mentioning Floyd, we know it had been a lot talking about Floyd coming back, or rather be Pacquiao or whoever. You think, and there's been a lot of talk about people wanting to see him fight Canelo again. You think that it would be the same outcome, maybe more competitive, but you think Floyd could still beat you think he still would beat Canelo, or you think that's a Canelo win?
I'm gonna just say I don't want him to fight Canelo. Because Floyd, my guy, and it's like the first time he fought Canelo, it was Floyd was in there sparring.
Right.
This time around, I don't see that as being a sparring match for Floyd. I'm gonna just say I don't want to see it. I wouldn't want to say Floyd to lose. I just don't. I don't even.
Right. You don't want to see it.
I don't want those words. I don't want the words Floyd gonna lose to come out of my mouth. I'm gonna just say. I don't want to. I don't want that to happen.
And,
don't look, Floyd. Take my advice, my G. Don't get in the ring with none of these young dudes. Go fight. If you gonna fight, go on and whoop Pacquiao ass again, and go on about your business. Don't get in the ring
and dip up.
Don't get in the ring with one of these young boys. I don't want to see it. Don't do it.
Shit. And
I told you on the last episode, I don't even want to see him and Pacquiao fight. I don't want to see Floyd fight. I don't want to see Floyd fight again. Really,
right.
Just chill, man. You undefeated. Chill. I don't want to see him and Pacquiao again. But if you need to get back in the ring, you want to get back in the ring, go on and fight Pacquiao, man.
Right.
Actually, see if De La Hoya want to go work out or something.
See if he want to spar.
Yeah, man. Go whoop his ass. Don't get in the ring with Canelo again.
Oh shit. Oh man.
Don't do it.
What you think about people saying Jamal need to do more for him to get a shot at the Golovkins and the Canelos?
I mean, it's one of them things too. Because who was his last fight?
His last fight was Hugo Centennial and on that Broner card back in April.
Yeah, no, I think as far as they saying just do more to where he can earn them, or they saying they don't think
the resume. Yeah,
as far as building up his resume, I think he could do more. I don't know who I would say he should fight, but I think if he got in the ring with him, I think he can definitely hang with him.
Right.
It's always more that can be done when you're talking about guys that are considered some of the best in their weight class and, some of these up-and-coming guys. But I definitely think if they get in the ring, I think he can hang with them.
Okay.
Who would you want to see him fight before Triple G?
I mean, it's a lot of guys in that division. I feel like I would like to see him fight Danny Jacobs. Danny got a fight coming up in November. We're going to be talking about that. I'd like to see him fight the winner of Saunders Andrade next week. We're going to be talking about that October 20th. So it's a lot of guys, but I feel like no matter who he fight, it should be for a world title.
Right.
I don't think he should be on anybody's undercard. I don't think it should be any eliminators or mandatories. Like, he should be fighting these world champions for the belts.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he that caliber of a fighter. Like, I don't think it's like, to me, it ain't like Triple G just, miles ahead of him or something like that to where he should be able to get that fight.
We ready to get out of here, but before we leave, what you think about Free Tank? We ain't seen Tank since April. Only one fight this year. That fight only went 3 rounds. Tank probably has fought 10 rounds the last 2 years. Why you think we ain't seeing more Tank, man?
I mean, I don't know what the issues are over there. I mean, it's definitely been as I've been saying from
because it's rocky.
as I've been saying on social
rocky.
media over the last probably couple of years. I mean, pretty much probably since they said Tank was whooping on Floyd in that sparring session or whatever a few years back.
Right.
Shit been kind of shaky since then. So I mean, I don't know what it and I mean from the things that Tank has been tweeting and shit, the fact that Tank hang out with Bronner is tell me enough considering the way that Floyd and Bronner's relationship is up and down.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know what the actual reason may or may not be though. Maybe just some disagreements. Maybe Floyd being Floyd.
We know that he don't want to leave Al Heyman. We know that all of Al's guys is loyal and they feel like Al put them in position to get a lot of money.
Right.
But you think that Tank could benefit from leaving Mayweather Promotions and just doing his own thing or going to another promotional company? Or you think him and Floyd should work this whole thing out?
See, the problem, I mean, I think if him and Floyd could work it out, it'd be dope. But I mean, as we done seen from most of Floyd's relationships, it's like so up and down and so wishy-washy and flip-flop. So I mean, I think this would be an ongoing thing if he stay over there. Like how many of Floyd's relationships have we seen be consistently great? You know, from the relationship with his dad, from the relationship with Braun, or from the relationship with 50 Cent.
Right.
So I mean, I think it'll be tough for him to stay over there. I think if they can work it out and come to some type of agreement, that'll be cool. But like I said, knowing Floyd handles relationships the way that he do, it might be better for Tank to get up out of there.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to see him back in the ring. I do think that, I don't know how long the contract is. We ain't sure about all of that, but I do think he could benefit from being with another promoter.
I mean, he could fight more. He could, he'd be able to get in the ring a little
more
bit
active. Right. Eddie Hearn said he offered Mayweather Promotions a chance to co-promote. So he was like, he not trying to. I'm gonna send you the link to that too. He was like, he not trying to take Tank from under them or nothing like that, but he just want to co-promote to try to get Tank
get him in the ring.
Yeah, Tank is, I want to say between 23, 24, something like that.
I think he's 24.
Yeah, 24, youngest world champion in history. Fucking, like it's too much talent. Like that's many Mike Tyson for real. Like it's just too much talent being wasted. And we definitely all want to see Tank back in that ring.
What's the next fight to be?
His Tank's next fight, I feel like it should be big. Like I feel like his return should be big. I want to see the Tevin Farmer fight. We want to see that fight for at least 2 years.
They've been beefing for it's been about probably 2 or 3 years since they've been beefing. Because I mean, before it was like, what was it? Wasn't Tevin chasing Tank for a minute? Tank wouldn't really acknowledge it before, and
Tank told him get a belt, and Tevin got a belt. Tank said
because Tevin got shot in the hand, right? That's why he was out for a while, right? Didn't Farmer get shot in the hand?
He got shot, and then he had like a weird controversial loss that ended up getting wiped out. And
I seen that one because that was what I can't remember his name, but that one went to decision.
That was what was it Billy Did? No, that wasn't the Billy Did fight. But yeah, it was some dude that Tevin was in a weird situation with, and that ended up getting thrown out because dude was on TVs, some crazy shit.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a fight I've been wanting to see that fight since they started going back and forth on Twitter over 2 years ago.
I want to see him against Lomachenko eventually. I think at 130, at 135 or 140, he'll smoke Lomachenko. Like I don't think that's a close fight. At 130, I feel like it's close. I think the more Tank don't have to lose weight because we know he's not no natural 130 motherfucker. Like you can see him when he's not in like preparing for a fight. Like Tank ain't walking around at 130, and we know he works to get down to 130. But I feel like at 135, 140, that's an easy fight for him.
Who you think would be his toughest matchup?
Mikey. I think him and Mikey Garcia eventually will
That'll be. I think that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a tough fight for Tank. Yeah, like Tank's power and his aggression versus Mikey like tactician skills. I think that's a great fight. That's a pay-per-view fight for sure.
Definitely.
We got a lot coming up for y'all, man. Stay tuned. We gonna be back at least every other week. A lot of boxing coming up next couple months. A lot of UFC coming up. We gonna be here. We gonna try to be here every week for y'all. Y'all make sure y'all stay tuned. NoFeelins Boxing.
And if y'all listen to it, give us some feedback. Let us know what y'all think, man. We
definitely let us know.
We still trying to get things in order. I'm trying to stay caught up with everything, with working as much as I've been working lately. So yeah, any type of anything y'all want us to talk about specifically that we might not talk about, just hit us up and let us know.
Hit us up, man. All social media, NFM_podcast. DM us suggestions, which y'all think we should check out. Anything, feedback on the shows, what we can do better. Let us know.
Anybody that's interested in coming on and talking about something specifically, just DM us. We could get people on for a short amount of time in the episode. Anything to kind of help us grow and get a little notoriety.
Definitely. Every week, man, NoFeelins meetings. Check us out. Me, Will, and Justin. That's the hip hop podcast, rap podcast, sports, whatever you want to talk about. Shit, niggas DMing your girl.
Oh
crazy.
yeah, we got relationship segments and all that for y'all.
Everything, whatever you want, man. No Feelings meetings every week. Check me and Justin out. 90 Feet Baseball Podcast, Half Hour Network, first baseball podcast exclusive. We give y'all that every week. Check out the Feud every week. That's Justin and Liam.
Sometimes Liam by himself.
Sometimes, shit. But Half Hour Network, man, y'all check us out. We out here. More things to come. So many things in work.
Yes, sir. We out there, man. No feelings.
No feelings.